What's up, homies? It's Asa, and today I'm actually filming during the daytime in bright light. Unheard of. As you can tell by today's title, I'm going to be talking about the books I read in the month of June. I was kind of wondering if I should film this video at first because I only read 3 books in June, and people who do these videos have read like 10. But these 3 books I just really wanted to talk about and share with you guys. So yeah. First book I read in the month of June was Iron Widow by Xiran Jie Zhao. Oh my gosh, I love this book. And the cover is gorgeous. Like, hold on. Just appreciate this cover art for a second. Look at that. That's beautiful. It's so aesthetic. The color palette is, oh, I love it. Okay. And I love the book. It's so good. And I heard about this book because I was on TikTok, as most people my age are nowadays. I saw the author post a video. She was advertising her book as it's a YA book that resolves a love triangle and polyamory. And I was like, oh, I need to read it. Which sounds so bad. I'm exposing myself. But I was really curious. I'm not good at like summarizing stuff I read, so don't mind that. But if you haven't heard about it, it's kind of like a dystopian, sci-fi kind of fantasy set in what I guess you're supposed to think is like a Chinese culture, right? The basic premise is young guys and girls have to pair up and pilot these mechas to fight off like this evil creature that's like destroying their civilization of Huaxia, and they're fighting the Hunduns. Part of the reason I really love this book was because I took some classes in Mandarin and Chinese culture in college, and I love those classes. I love the culture, and it's following the story of Zetian, probably butchering the pronunciations, even though I'm like, I took classes on this. If you don't know, Wu Zetian was the female empress in like Chinese history. So it's kind of like a reimagining of her. I think that is what it literally says in the book. The conflict in this book is that the pilots, like I said, of these mechas that had to fight the enemy are a boy and a girl, right? And the girls, for some reason, always just die. They're seen as weaker, having a weaker like spirit level, like chi and all that kind of stuff. Basically, their energy gets sucked up and used by the guys to fight off the enemies, and then the girls just die. Like, the girls are sacrifices, and everyone knows that females are sacrifices. Yeah, they're probably gonna die if you send your child off to battle and she's a female, and the men get to live in all the glory. It's a very, I hate to put it like this, but this is the best way I know how to put it, but a very like kind of feminist novel in a way. I gave this a 4.5 stars, and I loved it so much. I couldn't put it down. Why is it not 5 stars, you might ask, if you loved it so much? Well, for me, you know how I said it's kind of like a feminist novel in a way? Some of that kind of, I guess, got a little bit repetitive, but it was a major theme of the book, and it is a YA novel. So I feel like I just took off half a star just because some of the themes in the book just seemed to, obviously it needs to be repeated, but it seemed like maybe a little bit too much. I hate to even put it like that. Let me see if I put any notes in here. I did annotate, if you can see that. I don't know, I really just put like tabs. Wow, I thought I actually annotated. I annotated another book I read this month. Okay, I remember why I can say I really liked this book. For one, I feel like this book is really great for young women to read, especially like YA novel for girls that's really empowering. I think guys can read it too. It's really great. It has like elements for both. But I know a lot of guys are gonna be like, feminist novel. See, don't listen to me when I say that. It's good. I just don't know how to put it like that. But I put here in one of the annotations where I was like, I haven't seen a ruthless kind of morally gray female main character in a long time, especially never YA. Like, the female main character in YA novel always has to be righteous and whatever and not morally gray. But then I also added on, yet the voice maintains the youngness of her age. I feel like that's a really great positive. She acts her age, but she also acts mature, and she's also morally gray. And the heroine isn't just like acting like she's a 30-year-old woman, but in the body of a 17-year-old or something, you know, and has to like save the world. No, she still can be a child, but so good. I recommend this. Seriously, heavily recommend this. So the next book that I read was Verity by Colleen Hoover. I finally read a Colleen Hoover book. This one I read in 3 days. I loved this book. It was very fast-paced, very interesting. I did not tab this one actually. I do have some criticisms though. I don't know, it kind of lacked something. And I realized that after reading her next book, which was the third book I read this month, was another one by her. I realized that I was mainly intrigued by like okay, I guess I should give a background on this. I'll just read some of the back and summarize that because it's so much easier than me trying to explain it myself. As you can tell, panicking because I feel like I did a terrible job on the other one. And I'm talking so fast. I need to calm down. Okay. So Lowen Ashley is a struggling writer on the brink of financial ruin when she gets a job offer from Jeremy Crawford, which is the husband of a best-selling author, Verity Crawford. She's hired to finish the remaining books in a series because Verity gets injured. So she arrives at the Crawford home to sort through notes, ends up staying a little bit longer because this is also a thriller romance. In sorting through all the notes, she uncovers a disturbing autobiography of Verity's. It's page after page of bone-chilling admissions. And so Lowen has to decide, I need to keep reading this. Do I tell this woman's husband that she's like slowly falling in love with? I've never read anything like this, so I think it was really great. I read through this so fast because the writing from Verity's autobiography, you get to read Lowen's perspective of events, but then every other chapter is Verity's autobiography, and that was so good. I just wanted to keep reading to read about Verity's autobiography because it was wild. It was so wild. This book was a little bit predictable except for the ending. Kind of was expecting it, but not in that way. But it ended very nicely. And I think the only reason I took off stars was because there could be a little bit more happening in the background. Like I said, Verity's autobiography, amazing. But like Lowen's perspective, I feel like there could have been just a little bit more. Something to really put you more on the edge of your seat with her. And the romance was okay, but I will tell you the main kind of criticism when I talk about this book. So I'm going to put this one down, and the last bit of criticism on why it got 3.5 I'm going to talk about in conjunction with Ugly Love. This one I annotated a lot, a good bit. I don't know if you can see that. In actual annotations, I wrote stuff in this. I was excited to read another Colleen Hoover book because I really liked Verity. But this one, Ugly Love, was so hyped up. Everyone loves this one. They're like, you cry when you read this one. I didn't cry. I thought it was okay. I only give it 3 stars. And what I mean by 3 stars, okay, let me explain. 5 stars in my brain is like top tier, best book ever. 4 stars is, oh my gosh, this is really, really, really good. Definitely one of my faves. 3 stars is like, this is really good, but I wouldn't consider it a favorite book of mine. Maybe I would recommend it, but it's definitely good, worth the read. And then 2 stars would be like, this is questionable. Did I want to read this? And 1 is just awful. Okay, had to establish that. So the summary for this book, Tate Collins meets the tormented and secretive Miles Archer. They wouldn't consider themselves friends, but they only have a mutual physical attraction that can't be denied. And so they decide to kind of be like, they just decide to hook up a lot. They don't even want to consider themselves friends with benefits because they're like, this is easy because we're not even friends. Basically, it goes how they're starting off as a hookup and how they're wanting more, kind of, but Miles can't let that happen. He has some dark past that Tate is trying to figure out. I really like this book for the reason that it reminded me of my own past relationships. I've only had 1 serious relationship, but I've dated a few other people short term, right? It kind of just brought back memories from the first love, the first relationships, experience dating. And I don't know if that was the intention, but there's a lot of good, like memorable, like quotes and things like that. That is something I like about Colleen Hoover is she knows her stuff. She's not just making up some fluffy romance. Like you can tell, like this is real stuff that goes down, maybe not from her experience, but from friends or something that she's writing about. You know, her perspective on romance and relationships and love is quite accurate. A lot of the annotations were because of that. It's one of the reasons I really liked the book. But then the other reason I kind of didn't like the book is I feel like figuring out Miles' dark past kind of drug on a little bit too long. Like, I feel like everything that happened was kind of important, but at the same time, it's like, we can kind of spill the beans already. Like, around here, I started getting like, can we hurry this up? Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm running out of space on my phone. I need to hurry. The main criticism I have for both of these books, I feel like her characters aren't 100% compatible. They're kind of like 2D flat. Like Lowen and Tate, their purpose is to fall in love and tell the dark backstory of someone else. In a way, they're kind of used, like, you know, how everyone talks about in Gatsby, like, I forget what his name is, but the guy who tells the story meets Gatsby. He's the narrator to tell Gatsby's life. Yeah, the main characters are kind of like that. They're the narrator to tell the other people's lives, but they're also the love interest. I get kind of that point, and normally I wouldn't mind it, but I feel like for a romance book, I wish that the main characters that are telling the other people's stories, so Tate and Lowen, that they just had more depth to them. Like, they both have things going on in their lives, but I think that's just kind of a little bit of an excuse to make them seem like they have more depth, but they just really still don't. They just lack something to me. Maybe I'm not wording this correctly. I do think they're good books, so sorry if you think I'm bashing your favorite book. They're great books. There's just something that these main characters lack that just makes them not my absolute favorite. But yes, as I said, 3 stars. I still really like the books. They wouldn't be my top favorites overall. I'm interested in reading more of her books, but we'll see how that goes. People really rave about it, but now I'm kind of hesitant. Like, if these are their favorite books ever, I might not necessarily rate them super high. I'm kind of rushing the ending of this because this video is about to cut itself off in a minute because I'm running out of storage on my phone. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know your opinions on these books. If you have any questions about it, anything else, yeah, just let me know. I will see you guys in another book video in the future. Bye!